Hey sweetie pies, it's Danny here, and today I'm recording on stolen Wongal land. I pay my respect to Wongal elders, past and present. Acknowledge the ongoing impact of colonisation, and also recognise First Nations strength, resistance, and love. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Hello! So nice to meet you too! Are you a hugger?
Yes, let's hug.
Yay. Oh yes. It's so nice to meet you. I can give you a hug too.
Hello. This is Crip Love, a sonic archive of love stories from the disability community. In this episode, you'll meet Ava and Mei Lin.
The needles are very important in our relationship because I gifted one to Mei Lin early on. And we've got Nyota here, which are the little pop mart figurines that Mei Lin and I collect. And another thing in the fidget box is this cucumber my grandma knitted me. This is the green crush tangle, which it's got green glitter specks, and every second one is like lime green bumpy texture, and the tangle sounds like this. But we love the tangle. One of the first times when we started holding hands, we would put the tangle in between our hands and then we'd mutual stim with it.
That's Crip Love. Should I start?
Yeah,
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Hello, this is Mei Lin introducing my girlfriend, Ava. Ava is a beautiful fat femme with dark, long, slightly wavy hair. She uses she, they pronouns and has little Hello Kitty mermaid earrings, which she says she feels is like Crip empowerment, and she wears them when she's feeling a bit like And Ava's favorite color is red, and she has a nice red ring and a ring that says Dyke and nice blue nail polish.
Okay, so this is Mei Lin. He's my boyfriend. He uses he, him pronouns. Mei Lin is a beautiful Chinese boy, trans mask, queer, autistic, crip, amazing. Well, you're looking at me now. You have beautiful brown eyes, and he has beautiful short brown hair. You're wearing your favorite hoodie, which is navy, and it has these colored patches all over it. He looks very shy right now. He doesn't like being described.
So Ava and I met the first day of my degree. Ava was the queer collective officer at the time at UNSW and was making badges.
I was a year into uni and it was open week, so I was holding a stall for like prospective students and students that were starting to tell them about the queer collective and all the different collectives they could join that like the SRC ran. And so Mei Lin, I remember like him coming over in a group of people and I thought, that's a queer person, just based on how he was dressed. And I thought a very cool looking person as well. We didn't really talk because like shy, like first day of uni, very intimidating. And so I was just like, okay, that's a cool person, like noted. I don't think I was crushing or anything, but it was memorable.
Yeah, we went to the same uni together for 4.5 years, I think. So yeah, like we saw each other around. I read some of Ava's writing in the school paper. I saw your photography work. Like we always had like these like very like moments of connection.
I like followed Mei Lin's art throughout the years and I was like, wow, like he makes such amazing art. Like was really one of my favorite artists on campus. Like my best friend was doing an exhibition and she was like, oh, is there anyone you think at COFA should be in my exhibition? And I was like, Mei Lin. Mei Lin has the most amazing work. And so to Mei Lin, like he just got a random DM from someone that he had like a few mutuals with to be like, hey, do you want to be in my exhibition? Had no clue like who recommended him or anything. So he ended up being in my bestie's exhibition. And so I remember that day specifically, I was at home, like, because I live with my best friend in a share house. I was at home and she was like, oh, like, Mei Lin's going to be here in like 5 minutes. Like, he's dropping off his work. I'm going to install it for him. And I was in my PJs. I was like lying on the sofa and I was like, no. And I didn't think I liked him or anything. Like, we didn't have many interactions. But I was like, no, oh my God. And then I forgot how to be a human. And I like posed myself on the sofa with my laptop. It was really awkward. And I was so angry. I was like, I'm in pajamas. And she was like, why are you being so weird about this? And then so Mei Lin came in and was like, oh, hi. And I was like, hey. Hey. And then I was like, okay, bye. And Mei Lin left. And then I would always see Mei Lin around and I felt like we'd have these like really awkward conversations. Or like we'd be in a group and I'd be like, oh my God, like I just said something embarrassing or like unsophisticated, like, but we had all these mutual friends and I knew we'd like really get along. So there were all these kind of, yeah, like ships in the night kind of thing.
But we started to get closer when we did a class called Writing as Practice. Ava studies art theory and I did a Bachelor of Fine Arts. So we're in a similar degree and this was sort of like a crossover art theory course. And it was really fun and experimental. And yeah, we sat next to each other in class.
I was really excited we were doing Writing as Practice together so we could like have reasons to talk, I guess, because we didn't really like have conversations set up. And then I don't know what particularly like made me have the confidence, but I don't really like share my writing with anyone before it's done. But we were like sharing our assignment drafts with each other, which I was like, oh my God, I don't show my writing to anyone, which I don't think Mei Lin really like knew because I didn't make like a big deal of it. But at the time I definitely was like, it was kind of an indicator to me that there was something special, the fact that I was willing to do that. It was like very sweet and sincere and like we'd both stay up like doing each other's work and we really connected over that. And then yeah, it kind of just became this like relationship very much in Google Docs where we'd like respond to each other's comments and then it developed a lot, like we'd start doing little love hearts and like little kisses. I was like, oh, anytime I've had crushes before, like my crushes are really like kind of distressing in a way. And I think like because I have PTSD and anxiety and whatnot, and I now understand like being ADHD, like I didn't really understand how to identify crushes. And so I think the feelings of being unsafe, I identified that as a crush. So when it came to Mei Lin, I was like, oh, like I don't feel like vomiting around him and I feel really safe. So that's why I initially was like, oh, it's not romantic because he doesn't make me feel really bad. Like I just feel great all the time. It was like something I'd never felt before.
There was no pining over the years on my part, because I'm asexual and I think I spent most of my degree sort of working that out and working out how I relate to people. And like one of the things made me be like, oh my God, maybe we can date, is when Ava told me that she's demisexual. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a possibility. I was very excited, and like I could tell, like either if we were dating or best friends, that would always be in each other's lives. And like even from that first term when we had like close relationship, I was like, oh, like we connect really well and I can see us moving forward in some way. And then when I was bartending, there was this guy, I don't know, I kind of like was like gender envy maybe, and he invited me out and I was like, okay, I'll go out. And we went to Louise Bourgeois exhibition, and I remember texting Ava and being like, I'm going on a date, I think.
I was very upset because I think we'd also spoken about the Louise Bourgeois exhibition, and I don't think I think he actually didn't say we would go together, but I think in my mind I thought, oh, maybe we'll go together. And then you said like, yeah, I think it's a date, and I was like, oh, like my chest like hurt so much, and I was like, oh, and also confused because I was like, it's a man. Like going on a date with a man.
And it felt weird telling Ava that I went on a date because that just doesn't sit right. And I remember I left the date early.
You were like, oh, I'm leaving early, which I think I found a lot of relief by, because I was like, okay, it didn't go well.
Departed the date. I was like, got somewhere to be. And then I met up with Ava at a Free Palestine protest, and I think we put our loops in. And then after that moment, I was like, okay, I like Ava. I feel like I had to go I went in the opposite direction, going on a date with that guy.
And I remember like freaking out having you next to me, like really excited. I was like buzzing though. Like I was like nervous. You were standing behind me for a bit when you got there, and I was like, and I just wanted to speak to you. And then we both had trivia that night, but we were doing trivia in different places. I was doing trivia at the Bearded Tit and you were doing trivia at the Gladdy. So we traveled all the way to our respective trivias like together and then parted, but with our friend M. And M had no clue that we kind of had this like M was like, I didn't know you guys had become close friends. And we were like, yeah. And I was just thinking the whole time, like, what happened with the date? But yeah, I was mad. I think I tried to bring up the date on the train, but also like because M was there, I like didn't, want to either. And I was very cautious like when we were friends because of you being asexual and unsure if you were aromantic or like where you sat. If that was also like prying, because that was a big concern for me, like to even talk about like having romantic feelings for Mei Lin. I had this real anxiety that he may feel like, oh, I thought we were best friends and this whole time you've just been like romantically pursuing me, and almost be like quite disappointed about that. And especially like being autistic, I was really worried you might think that I'd kind of tricked you the whole time, and I didn't want you to feel pressured. But as much as I was upset you were on a date, I was excited because I thought, oh, there's romantic possibility. And maybe, but then I was also like, why am I not going to Louise Bourgeois with you? And then I think I went with my mom, and I went with my best friend. I went with KB, and I was like, I don't need to go with Mei Lin.
Going on that date with that guy made me realize I liked Ava, because I was like, this is weird. This is just some random man. And actually, I really like Ava. And then I found out he was 31 and I'm 22. So, side note, No, absolutely not. So it was like, yeah, it was a good experience in the fact that it was affirming that I liked Ava. It wasn't a bad experience, but I don't know.
That's like a classic rom-com trope, though.
Yeah.
Some kind of misdirection.
True.
What happened next after you went to these separate trivia nights?
So it had hit the summer holidays and we were doing this kind of thing where once a week we would meet up and we were having these like 6+ hour hangouts once a week that were frankly dates, but we weren't calling them that. And we went to see like All of Us Strangers together at the Ritz Cinema on opening night, or it was like a special preview, I think, which I actually had plans that night to try and hold Mei Lin's hand, which didn't happen because the seats were really bulky and I couldn't reach over. And it's a very romantic movie, so it was quite stressful to watch. But that night in particular, like I think I stayed over till like 4 a.m. and we were genuinely just like talking. And yeah, so we were having these really big hangouts, and then I knew that like Mei Lin would probably really like Josh Thomas's comedy, and I love his show Everything's Gonna Be Okay. And I knew Mei Lin would love it. And so in about like December, I started getting Mei Lin to watch episodes. And then we actually started just watching episodes like together. And it was really fun watching it through Mei Lin's eyes and just connecting, because Josh Thomas's character as well, in that like it's also while him as a comedian like realizes that he's autistic and he's looking after his autistic younger sister. So it was really cool to like watch something so neurodivergent focus together. And then I saw that Josh Thomas was coming in like 2 months to Sydney to play at the Sydney Opera House. At this point, we're obsessed with Josh Thomas, like all of the jokes. We have like little in things that still run to this day. And I just said like, even though we realistically had only been friends for like 3 months, at this point 2 months maybe, I was like, oh, like Josh Thomas is coming. And Mei Lin immediately was like, let's go. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's not a weird thing. I didn't ask it myself. And so he went ahead and straight away booked tickets for us for February time, which I was like, oh my God, that's 2 months away. Like, who knows what could happen? And so that was set as February 17th. And it felt very important in our relationship, like leading up. And it also happened to be a few days after Valentine's Day.
I don't remember if when I bought the tickets, I thought it was a date. I think I remember thinking it was important. But on the day of Josh Thomas, I did message my friend saying, I'm on a date. I might see you later. And I remember being on the light rail and I was like, because I told my mum I had a crush on you prior to this, and told my little sister who's 15. I remember just before Christmas in 2023. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a crush. I don't know what to do. So on the 17th of February, which is now, spoiler alert, our anniversary date, we went to Josh Thomas. It was very much the night I decided that I was going to tell Mei Lin that I liked him, because I couldn't deal anymore. And I was like, okay, like we're about to go into uni, like I can't do this anymore. Like I really like him. And he's like my best friend, but I have to say I like him to him. I don't know if I can like keep being friends and hide that information. So I kind of set it for this day. And when we both turned up, it definitely was like evident by the way we like dressed and the way we approached it. Like we both knew it was a date, and it was the Sydney Opera House. So like, ooh la la. I knew it was a date, and yeah, it's always a little bit awkward, isn't it? When you're like, hee hee, hello. And I remember like the air was full of the words unsaid. Like I knew something was coming. Like I could feel it. I was like, oh, I'm scared.
I was so nervous. I thought maybe I'd say something before we went into Josh Thomas. Like I was trying to really like calculate when's a good time to say this, and I thought no, like not when we go into like before we go into Josh Thomas, because then we're sitting next to each other for an hour and a half. Like what if he's like one, you know, like stressed out by this information, is like I don't like you, you know, I don't want to ruin that. Like we'll talk about it after. And so I get there and we sit down and I'm like trying to make small talk, and Mei Lin's like, oh, I made you something.
Yeah, I made like a little bracelet that said Josh Thomas and a little keychain that said Little Lamb.
A friendship bracelet, but like how Taylor Swift concert ones, but for Josh Thomas, for me to wear, and puts it on my hand, and has made me a little keychain that says Little Lamb, because there's a scene where Josh Thomas, which we say to each other, in his show, he says like, I'm just a little lamb, like I can't be an adult, I'm meant to be frolicking. And so we're just two little lambs and we just want to be little lambs. And so he made me the most beautiful keychain as well. And I was like gobsmacked. I didn't know what to do. And then immediately like the bells were like, go inside to Josh Thomas, go inside to Josh Thomas. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't know how to thank him properly. I was so shook. And then in that moment as well, I was like, oh my God, this has to be the moment where I'm like, I really like you. I want to date you, but we had to go sit down.
This was a couple of days after Valentine's Day, and I had actually sewed Ava a ginger plush toy to give as a gift on Valentine's Day. But then I thought that might be a bit OTT. Like I brought it in my bag to uni on Valentine's Day, and Ava crossed paths with me at uni very briefly. It was for like a 10-minute, even less, probably 5 minutes. We crossed paths. And I just don't know why I didn't take it out of my bag and like gift it to her. I think I made it with the intention of being romantic. And then I just got like anxious maybe because we hadn't like said how we felt. And because I sometimes like don't know how to show people that I care and love them. And so the ginger feels like to me like very warm and comforting, and it just felt like such a sacred object, I guess. So like this ginger had like a lot of meaning, and it literally meant like I don't know how to show you that I like you or that I care for you. And so here is a stuffed toy that I made for you. So I guess like I knew what it meant.
And then the whole thing of Josh Thomas's comedy show is basically around like his romantic life, which we didn't know anything going into it. I knew it was a bit about his neurodiversity and his diagnosis journey, but it actually ended up being about love. So this whole time he's talking about being in love with his fiance, and you know, all of these, also talking about heartbreak and all these things, and we're just sitting next to each other. I don't know when to make eye contact with Mei Lin. Like it's so awkward because I'm like, oh my God, like I've got this bracelet on my hand right now. Like I just want to hold his hand. Like I don't know what to do and how to handle this. And then we left, and it was our friend's birthday that night. So we both kind of had these commitments that we had to go to, but we told them like we're hanging out with each other. I told Harry and our friends who were at Harry's birthday, I'm on a date with Mei Lin. We haven't explicitly said we're on a date, but like I'm on a date. I'll maybe see you guys later. And Mei Lin had his bestie Chloe's birthday as well, and they were in a similar area. But then we just delayed the night. It just became a series of delaying the night. So we went and we lay in the Botanic Gardens for ages, got eaten by mosquitoes. I continued to not say how I felt. Then we went and had dinner and got dumplings at Chinese noodle house. And then our friends were both in King's Cross at the same place. And then I'm like totally not one to like walk this long or do any of this. But in order to delay time, I was like, let's walk from Haymarket to Oxford Street to King's Cross where our friends are. So we walked for like half an hour just so we could keep talking. And my absolute goal, and also what I had to do, was like tell Mei Lin how I felt, because our friends were really drunk at this point at Kinsella's, who were like texting me saying, how's the day going? How's the day going? And I was like, I have to tell him or he's going to be like bombarded with people being like, how was your date?
Yeah, and then we ended up on Oxford Street at Taylor Square.
I think it was like 10 or 11. And we got to Kinsella's and I was like, oh, before we go in, we have to talk about us. And he looked so frightened.
Ava was saying how she felt, and I remember being like so disassociative, like I was quite out of it.
I said, these are all my feelings and these are my worries because, yeah, I haven't wanted to freak you out, but I really like you. I can't even remember like what I said, but I was like, I really like you and blah, 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 and just dumped it on him. And then I went, okay, now you speak.
And like, I was like, yes, I like you too. I think that's what I said. I can't remember what I said, but I remember being quite scared.
And he was like, yeah, yes, I like you, but I'm confused. Like, I don't know, like, this is, like, confusing for me. Like, liking me and being like, does this, like, Mei Lin was like, does this mean I'm a lesbian now? Like, what does this mean?
The one thing that, like, made me not run away, Ava was like, oh, like, we'll just do Mei Lin and Ava. And, like, I think that was the thing that really helped me get into our relationship.
I said, like, well, we're just Mei Lin and Ava. Like, we just do us. I don't care, like, if we never kiss, if we never anything. Like, I just want to be with you and I want to ride this out and explore this.
It was this reassurance that, like, no one else mattered in terms of, like, feeling, like, looked at or, like, self-conscious. Like, it was like, okay, we're seeing each other. We can just, like, do us and figure out what that looks like. And I think that was the moment, like, where someone, like, really got me and also, like, embraced my asexuality as well and made me feel really comfortable.
And so we just sat there and I think we hugged. We took a selfie. You said, are we seeing each other now? And I said, yes. And then we decided we were seeing each other. And then we went and Mei Lin and I saw our friends and everyone was very excited. And then we had to go off and be with our friends and we, like, parted for the night. So this was the night before an exhibition I was running. And then the next day, it was my exhibition. I stayed up till 4 a.m. telling my best friend, KB, who lives in Naarm, about what had happened and how everything happened, just sending like 30 minutes of voice memos because I didn't want to forget anything. And it was just the best night of my life. And then Mei Lin was up doing zines from like 6 a.m. to make zines for the exhibition. And then he came, you did boyfriend duty really well from day one. You came to my exhibition. It was very stressful. Ollie, my co-curator, was stuck in Wollongong because the trains just went kaputs like they always do. And Mei Lin stepped in and like did all the install, was making sure that I was eating. And then, of course, he had to meet my parents because my parents came to the exhibition. So it was a hectic, proper first day of being together. He handled it really well, but it was overwhelming. Before we made it official, I bought like zines for Mei Lin, all of these different things, and a lot of them were bought in a romantic, like, I hoped that like things I could give it for Valentine's Day or in romantic capacities was these kind of like manifestation purchases. So Mei Lin came to my house for the first time ever, and where he put his backpack in my room was near the box that I was hiding everything in. And I was like, oh, since we're sitting here, I've got some things in here for you. I was able to give him all the presents that I'd collected for him. And Mei Lin was like, no way, here's your Christmas present. Here's your Valentine's present. Here's da-da-da-da. Within this backpack were all these gifts that he had collected for me. My Christmas present, revealed to me the ginger Valentine's Day present. And it was just hilarious that this whole time we'd been doing these things for each other. And like, we're just so well aligned. Like, anything that I ever think is embarrassing or like I'm being too much, like Mei Lin is thinking the same way. So like it's always just been very reassuring. I love all my little gifts.
It's wild that you were both like collecting all these little things for each other like before you were together, and then both just like gave this collection of stuff to each other.
awkwardly.
Oh my god.
Was it penguins that do pebbling, where they give little pebbles?
That's like an autistic trait as well, I think.
Yeah.
Pebbling.
Yes. Okay, is it ready? Yeah. Okay, so in front of me for visual aid, I've got our scrapbook open that Ava and I made, and it's entitled Gasian Joy, and there's lots of pictures of Ava and I and our friends. And I think like a big part of our relationship has been like all these moments of connecting to each other and our different cultures and to like the different practices. Like there's a little picture of us eating mooncakes. Like I'd never had mooncakes before. And the first time Ava met my cousins and my auntie and uncle, we brought some mooncakes, which was special to share, like, especially because I'm the only Chinese person in my family. Like it was really special to share something new to me and something special to me, and like that autonomy in choosing like this is part of like our traditions together and a part of like what we can share together. We've had so many wonderful moments of connecting with community, with each other, and Gage and Joy. Like we went to worship queer collective, queer Lunar New Year. Like worship collective is really important to me. I always cry every event. I always cry. But we went this year and it was so wonderful, and we had so many friends there and we saw so many performances. And I think the reason I like those community spaces so much, and also in our relationship, like there's so much space to feel like both happiness and also like all the grief and all the complex feelings as well. Like it's not all like one note, it's very much nuanced, and there's the space to just feel, especially being diasporic as well, like engaging with culture is so beautiful and wonderful, but it also can be heartbreaking.
Being in this relationship, like my mum's family is like Anglo-Indian and Anglo-Chinese, and they're the ones who have raised me. And being a white passing person, but being raised by like a family of like people of color, and like my mum's chosen family are also like Jamaican. Like I've been raised by a really diverse, beautiful group of people, but there's been a lot of separation from that for me, just in that like people I come across understandably don't know I'm Chinese and Indian. And so being with Mei Lin has also made me reconnect so much with my own family. Like my mum always jokes that Mei Lin is exactly like my grandpa, Vernon, and it makes me so happy. And like, oh, now I'm gonna cry, but like my mum will like bring up when Mei Lin does things and is like, oh, that's so Vernon, and like says like how much like my grandparents would have loved Mei Lin and been like, he's such a good Chinese Jewish boy, and he's so smart and he looks after you. And my mum said she had like a dream when my grandparents like came to her and said like, we like Mei Lin. So it's been very special. Like I went to Lunar New Year lots as a kid and did red packets, and I did all these kind of practices, and then they ended when I became a teenager in a lot of ways. So the fact that Mei Lin and I do them together, and we're doing things like Queer Lunar New Year, which Mei Lin has been doing with his friends for like a good few years now. Like I feel very special to be included, and it's been like really special like for him to embrace that with me and embrace it with each other, because we both have confusing, relationships for different reasons, with like familial ties. So it's very special to have our Gasian love together, and it's awesome. What I have here, so this is a part of the kind of manifesting. So earlier that year in January, Our friend Ollie is an amazing zine maker and would hold little zine workshops for our friends. And I went down to the one in Wollongong with my friend Millie. Mei Lin was no longer able to make it, but I was really hoping he was going to come. And I hadn't really made proper zines before. And so I ended up making this like crush zine for him that I thought I would give to him when I told him I liked him. And so on that day, I started making this zine, and then for some reason, the day of Josh Thomas, I hadn't finished it, and I just didn't think it was the right time. Little did I know he had made me a bracelet and a keychain, so I thought I was being too much. But when we eventually said, I love you, before it happened and I knew I wanted to say I love you, I picked up the zine that I started making, which basically chronicles like our first dates, the fact we did writing as practice together, and like the fact that I took Mei Lin to the ocean. So I wrote in it, is it okay if I share? Okay. I started making the zine at Ollie's on the 9th of the 1st, 2024. I wanted to give it to you to tell you I like you, but I decided to give it to you when I want to tell you I'm in love with you. And I intended to do that, but what I actually did was Mei Lin dropped me to work one morning, and I got out the car and I said, I love you, and froze and had to walk into work. And Mei Lin had the biggest smirk on his face, which was very reassuring, and was like, love you too, and like drove off in his cute little red car, which I love, and I freaked out.
I thought it was quite like funny. I don't know, like maybe not funny, but I guess like I'm used to like saying to my best friends, like when they go, I'm like, okay, love you. And so like for a while before this happened, in my head, like it would say bye-bye. And then in my head, I'd be like, love you. And then, so I think I'd said it in my head. And then Ava said it out loud. And then I was like, it's happening. And then you jumped out, I guess. And I could see like the panic in your eyes. And I was like, well, that happened.
You were giddy.
Yeah, I was giddy. Yeah, I guess I was kind of like, whoa, like a bit overwhelmed maybe. But like, it wasn't unexpected.
I went incognito for the day. And all my friends were reassuring me. A lot of them were like, oh my God, like it sounds like it went well. And I was like, I messed it up so bad. I had a zine. I have a zine that's been ready. Like, I'm a planner. Like, I had this whole romantic gesture planned.
I think I was a bit wired, but I remember, like, I was quite unwell at the time. So, like, things wouldn't really stick in my head. It's like, I knew, like, it was a big moment, but, like, I'd work. And then I think there'd be times where, like, I'd just be like, no thoughts, you know, smooth brain. And then, yeah, I went back to Ava's after work and I was like, whoa, like, the words were said. But, yeah.
And then eventually when we saw each other that night, Mei Lin had a shower, but I left it on his pillow to read. But yeah, that was the first scene I ever made, and zines are very important to Mei Lin in his practice and just like our relationship as well now. But I know I was very strict on like, we don't say like love ya or anything because that's too close to I love you or I'm in love with you. Whereas I think Mei Lin was very fine with being like, love ya or love you so much, or like, you know, where I'd be like, you're awesome, like, or, you know, try and say something like that instead or like, see ya, sleep well.
Sleep well.
I think I'd often be like, sending love.
Which
sending
was
love.
risky to say sending love. We would say sending love and I'd send the love letter emoji. I'd send you a lot of those.
Yeah, the poetics of emojis.
Yeah. I think that was probably a good while where I knew I was in love with you, but I just wanted to make like sure it was 100% because I like saying things when they're 100. So I would make sure with like everything and what I perceived to be the checks and balances of I love you. like all the boxes were ticked of like the missing you and the yearning and the wanting you to be everywhere. I knew you would say, like, I had no worries about you, I guess. I think it was just scary to be vulnerable. Yeah. And admit that I loved you.
Yeah, like I think like the thing with Ava and I have talked about a lot is like I was quite insecure at the beginning of our relationship. Like I said I was queer and I heavily identify with being asexual, but there was still a lot to sift through. So the moment, because I was like, oh, I don't know what love feels like, or what romantic love feels like, or what I'm supposed to feel, or if I'm supposed to have, you know, butterflies in my stomach, all those metaphors that are quite, I think, you know, so overly used. And I think the moment, like, I don't think there was a moment where I was like, oh, like, I love you now. I think it was because I had to do a lot of internal work. And I remember talking to my therapist as well, being like, I need to know, like, there's nothing wrong behind my eyes. Like, I'm okay inside, and like the way I love people is valid and okay. And I think that helped me say it and also believe it, because if I had always strived to be what I thought I was supposed to feel, then I don't think, like, I think like that would have made me run away, where all I needed to do was just like feel validated in how I experience love and express love, I guess.
And how do you like to express your love for Ava?
I love gift giving. I love, you know, making Ava elaborate cards and, you know, making her ginger stuffed toys and bracelets and stuff. I'm also really into cooking. I used to make Ava brownies every other week. I used to make banana bread and cupcakes, and recently I've been making gluten-free apple muffins. So I feel like that is ways that I show Ava that I love her. And also, like, when we're like leaving each other's house, we like sort of set up the pill. Like when I leave, like I set up the little Miffy boy, it's like boy Miffy and girl Miffy together, and like sometimes I'll make them hold a little stuffed ginger, or like I made us matching bonnets. Like I knitted us matching bonnets, and the other day I put like Miffy inside a little bonnet. So I feel like, yeah, like gift giving and like acts of service is how I like to show Ava that I love her. Yeah.
I like to be like a support person for Mei Lin. So I think like I'm not necessarily the cook in the relationship or the baker, but I feel like I'm doing a lot of comfort work, like cuddles and like sensory soothing stuff, and like just helping Mei Lin, just like I really like helping you with your projects and lots of things that are happening. Like I like being your number one cheerleader and being like, okay, like what can I do? And I think I'm a good listener. That's how I show my love too. I like paying attention to you. I mean, you also pay a lot of attention to me, and I love giving you gifts. I do love spoiling you with little gifts. And I won't cook, but I like buying you food. And I just, quality time together is really important, and spending time with the things you love. Like I have now watched Doctor Who thanks to Mei Lin, and I've done a lot of things that I never thought I would watch or do, but I really like learning about all your special interests, and I know that's really important to Mei Lin as well. Yeah. Is there anything you'd say is my love language?
Yeah, I remember there was this moment when we first started dating. I was living in quite a moldy house, and I was quite sick because of that. And it was just a whirlwind. And I remember one time, like, Ava came over and helped me go through my wardrobe and, like, pick out all the stuff that made me feel dysphoric. And I remember that being, like, a really special moment in also, like, my gender sort of journey. and also like understanding my gender in a relationship as well. And I think that moment, there's so many moments like that where you're showing me comfort in like, you know, being my little buddy, like if I feel unwell, like we sit and watch something and like bring a heat bag and like stuff like that. Yeah.
Being multiply disabled, like I've been disabled from a young age, and so I think between us, a lot of my love language and like a big part of our relationship is, I mean, I saw someone refer to it as like crip doulaing the other day, but like Mei Lin's gone through such a hard and difficult process, but also beautiful, because being crip is like beautiful and wonderful. It's the good, the bad, it's everything, it's all the grief. But like reminding him of all these practices of care, and I feel like our partnership is so entwined, like our love languages, with being crip and like looking and caring for each other, like looking after each other and caring for each other. And so by showing each other like ways of care, like what are the ways we grew up with, what are the ways we like, is also a big part of our love languages. Like I know for me, like my family is also like Anglo-Indian, Anglo-Chinese, and so I think a big part of my love for you is like showing you different practices that I grew up with, like putting tiger balm on you and giving you little massages and things that I've learned. Like those are really special to me. It's like such a specific type of like crip love language, I suppose. And making sure you're like really gentle on yourself and kind to yourself.
I guess, yeah, like, because I didn't grow up in a Chinese family, like cooking. I remember early on, I cooked congee for Ava, which has ginger, of course, and garlic. But like, I know for myself, like it feels so empowering to have autonomy to sort of like create these lineages, I guess, like being diasporic. Like it's important that, you know, we put tiger balm on each other and, you know, we have ginger and tea and stuff like that. Like it's important as well, like connecting to all the people before us as well, and also like embracing the different parts of ourselves, I guess.
Like we read a lot of, one of the big kind of connectors for us was like crip theory. Like one of the classes that Mei Lin and I did together, the week that I did in it, was disability and sexuality. And so of that reading that week was Crip Negativity by Logan. I never say his name right, but Smilges, there we go. He's great, look him up. But he wrote Crip Negativity, and I really pushed Mei Lin to read that. And sometimes there are times where we remind each other of quotes from that or read it to each other, and all different theorists and writers, and remind each other of all of those lineages and like what we're growing towards in our future and for our communities as well.
One thing Ava and I talk about a lot is in the future having a spare room for my little sister to sleep in and come to rest. And, you know, this year we watched Mardi Gras on the TV and we ate tacos. Like, I think what I look forward to in the future is, you know, continuing, like, we already have like a family together. I don't know if that's a bit hectic to say because we're like a year and a half in, but like I'm the oldest of, there's 4 kids and I'm the oldest and everyone else is a child, I guess. And like all my cousins and my sister get along well with Ava so much. And yeah, so in the future, I look forward to Ava and I like living our lives together and all the people we're connected to, both, you know, biological and non-biological family. Like I think we're surrounded by such a lovely community and I look forward to continuing being a part of community with Ava. And also my grandma loves Ava. So, you know, more time with grandma. You know, we need to bring over some bickies. She told me we have to do some baking for her. So that's happening. And I also look forward to having a cat together. Yeah, I want to name our cat Peter. That's my grandpa's name. Unfortunately, he passed when I was 15. But, you know, I pick up Avon in his little red car, you know. There's a little manual. Ava's my little passenger princess. And then I pick up Ava in the car and, like, you know, grandpa's with us.
I'm excited for our future apartment. We're going to have a 2-bedroom apartment, so we can have our own spaces, our own rooms to decorate. And then the second room, like one of the rooms, is going to be for Kira, which I think, like, I already knew before Mei Lin and I even talked about it, that I always want there to be a room for Kira, which I know Mei Lin really appreciated. I think he thought, like, it'd have to be a discussion, but I love them very much. I'm very lucky to, like, have Kira as, like, not to say in sibling-in-law, but, you know, to that extent for now. But I'm very excited for our future. I'm excited for our future cat, excited for the day we get to travel together, and I'm just excited for all the different adventures we're going to have.
One day, I really hope Ava and I can go to Hangzhou, which is in Zhejiang province in China, and that's where my family is from, and Westlake is there, and there's a lot of, like, wonderful queer stories and love stories surrounding Westlake. Shihu, it means Westlake. Like, one of them is, like, the butterfly lovers. It's a bit Mulan, like, this woman, she pretends to be a boy to study, and then she falls in love with this guy, and then they fly away together as butterflies.
We got 2 cities under construction constantly, and I'm not who I used to be, but in the end it's still you and me.
Crip Love is supported by the New South Wales Government through Create New South Wales. The gorgeous artwork is by Emma Pham, and dreamy music is by Brianna Jones and Paul McAdam. Brie and Paul are in one of my favourite bands, Library Siesta. You can find a link to their Bandcamp in our show notes. You can find open captions for each episode on criplove.net. I'm Danny Stewart. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening.